The common injuries that a boxer tends to endure, and what protocols should be taken for recovery. Does having a different body type play a role in the injury or recovery? I'm enjoying your content. Much love from the US. Thank you very much, Victor. In terms of like common injuries in boxing, there's a few key areas. We've got lower body, where we've potentially got some knee issues, calf issues based on like the amount of running load that they have. Lower back, which is predominantly the quadratus lumborum, what we call the QL muscle, which has an effect because we're quite tight in thoracic rotation, do a lot of side bending, and this actually flares up the lower back. But the main source of injuries that I see boxers have is in the shoulder, predominantly in the lead shoulder. This tightness and instability of the lead shoulder can then end up leading to injuries in the elbow, the wrist, and also the hands. Most injured area in sports science research for boxers is in the hands, but mostly that I see that people have trouble with is around the shoulder and the upper limb. And the reason why is because, especially in the lead hand, is because one, we throw it very differently to our backhand. The backhand is supported with a rotation of the pelvis and the trunk, whereas like the lead hand is very arm dominant. Also, there's a large ratio between how often you use the lead hand rather than the backhand. Think about your combinations on a bag. You might do a jab cross, double jab cross, that's a 2-to-1 ratio. You might do a double jab cross and then a lead hook, that's a 3-to-1 ratio. And then think about what you use in between to gauge that distance to keep your opponent off. You're using that lead hand a lot more. So with that in mind, because you're using it a lot more and using it in a lot different way, this can leave the lead shoulder into a very vulnerable position. So in terms of like how to manage that, there's one, do a lot of mobility and movement work, a lot of stability work around the shoulders, in particular looking at kind of unilateral imbalances. Strengthen the posterior shoulder cuff with exercises such as reverse flies, band pull aparts, banded triple threat, and also doing the isometric dumbbell holds. And this will help improve that strength in the posterior cuff to try and balance out that anterior and posterior dominance. And the key thing is managing training loads. So the most dangerous part of a training camp is towards the start of training camp, because you go from 0, not doing any training, maybe eating, maybe drinking a little bit too much, being quite tight because you might be sat down and not as active as much, to going straight into training camp, trying to smash the bags, trying to catch up, trying to get fit as quickly as possible. And going from that 0 to 100 in your mindset and in terms of your training, huge spikes in training load are probably the biggest contributors towards injuries. So there's a lot of data in different sports such as running and cycling, and also in AFL football, which see anything above 20% increases in training load significantly increases the likelihood of injury. At the start of training camp, there is going to be increases in training load, but it's how we manage it. So can we do training a little bit lighter? Can we use bigger gloves to reduce the impact forces on hands? Can we do only 2 boxing training sessions in the first week and do predominantly mobility, stability, strength and conditioning work to build up them foundations in terms of your movement and your stability before stepping up that load in boxing? And this is like something that is mismanaged at every single level in boxing, and something that we're really wanting to do more of with our boxers at Boxing Science.